G'day scrappers, welcome to the scrap session series again, and what I'm doing is just trying to get stuff down and my normal day-to-day routine when I'm not out there picking stuff up. And so this week I really need to make a serious dent in the scrap that I've got built up. Need to make more room for other scrap, and also at the same time just make room so I can do other projects in the workshop. So all I'm doing here right now is just all the CD drives that I picked up on the weekend. There was 31 just in one street scrap session, so I just want to get rid of these for now, get the boards out, and throw the rest into scrap metal. So, you know, it's still, even though it's quite an easy job scrapping out CD drives, it still takes time, and like everything, you know, I can spend 4 hours scrapping out little bits and pieces, and still don't even notice that I've made up any room, you know. So all I know is I've done the times, so I just think, oh well, I just spent 4 hours scrapping stuff, even though I don't see really much of a difference. I do. I still know that I've spent 4 hours, and that's 4 hours that I don't have to spend on the same stuff. So it's all time. That's what a lot of this micro scrapping is. Some things, like if I start scrapping out PCs and I spend 4 hours on doing them, I really notice the difference, because it takes up, you know, it frees up a lot of space. Whereas when I'm doing very tiny little things, I don't even realize that I've really done anything. But I picked up these CD drives, all the old style ones. Some of them are still only got small boards, but what I really want is these gold pins. So all I do with these, I don't sell these boards, I keep them and fill barrels up with them. And one day when I stop scrapping altogether and I go for my gold recovery, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be taking all the pins off, all the little IC chips and all that kind of stuff. So it's just with these anyway, it's an accumulation, but seeing that they were all sitting on the street, so many of them, get the little bit of brass, this little brass coil. I don't go too overboard in scrapping DVD players. I don't, some people talk about these DVD readers and they use them for various things. I don't bother. Some people even go for, try and get, there's a tiny little bonding wire with gold. I don't bother. It's just, I used to keep them, and I just didn't know what to do with them in the end. It was just, I was building up, I built up two 20 litre drums with them, and they just started taking up space, and there was no one wanted them. I just take a little motor, and can always take this tiny little motor where I got the brass out of, just another little motor. This one here is already popped open, so instead of selling it as a motor, I can just get this little bit of copper out here. Nice clean copper, and the rest is just scrap steel. Still, it all adds up. And that's it. So the main thing I want is the circuit board really, but since the brass and the motor is there, that's what I want. I get the ribbon wire. It's only low grade ribbon wire, doesn't go as data cable wire, and I always get the brass if it's yellow. Sometimes the white ones can be brass, but usually they're not, just steel. And when it's like this, and I don't even waste my time trying to get the motor, so just move on. It's only low value. And in this case, whether it's brass or not, it's in a plastic coating. But for me, it's just not worth wasting a couple of minutes trying to clean up something that's barely worth 1 cent, you know. Sure, it adds up, but so does time and effort, you know, wear and tear on the hands. Every action you do with your hands, it all adds up over time, you know. And when you're scrapping for many years, you know, eventually it does add up on your hands. And just like everything, you know, people working in a factory, whatever they're doing, if they're using their hands, over time it's all wear and tear. Even if your job seems easy, you're still using similar muscles every time. And so there we go, just nice and quick. Main thing is I'm getting the circuit board out, and I'm just getting through it all. Same as this little wire, I always cut this one. I don't try and pull it off because it's really tight. It's really, you know, and it's just putting strain on your hand. And if you do a lot of them, you really can feel it after a while. So the objective is to be able to scrap for as long as you can, you know. I'm talking months and years and so on. So the easier you can go on your hands, the better. Little motor there again. For the very little value, I'd rather just move on. Always take these little rubbery things off. Are we getting through? What have we done? 8 so far. This one's pretty easy. Staring right at me, so street scrapping has been reasonably okay. The main drawback has been the weather. Even though we've just come into spring, we just seem to have a lot of rainy days lately, and it just makes everything a little bit harder. In the area that I'm doing at the moment, apparently it's in a rain belt, so when it rains it pours. But that's it. That's all I picked these up for, is mostly just for the circuit board and the brass. I might as well get the motor out of this one. And obviously scrap metal. So we, you know, even though to me it's just rubbish, at the moment scrap metal is only 9 cents a kilo. So still getting 9 cents a kilo at least it pays for, it covers the cost of loading the van and taking it to the scrapyard, you know. Alright, oh, that's 10 down. Got another 21 there. I want to get rid of this cash register just so I can free up that chair. Okay. All I want to do with this cash register, I already tried to plug it in. It doesn't power up, so I can't open it through the normal conventional way. Not that I've ever worked out how to actually open them up that way. But I'll just cut that cord off. Process the cord straight away, just so I don't have to deal with it. These ones here, I just sort of give them a snip on these yellow ones, the old style. It's not going to come out all the way anyway. Just want that little bit of brass. Insulated wire. I can even take the key out, and with a magnet. Okay, so these keys are steel. 99% of the time keys are brass, but these ones are just cheap steel, so we don't have to keep them either. Alright, so just want to get the drawer open. Underneath here, got a little release. Yep, just a piece of paper, wasn't money. Alright. Just more sets of keys. Okay. Hey, we got $2. Oh well, $2. Better than a kick in the pants. And the only other thing is, get this out. Oh, and this is where there would be money. There's another $1. That's 3. Papers. Yep. No, there's no notes in there. There's no more coins. Well, there we go. $3. Hey, better than nothing. Can't complain with that. And that's $3 cash in hand, tax free. That'll buy me a few coffees next time I go out. Oh, all right, one scrapped out cash register, and it's a Fujitsu. Probably would have been a good one back in its day, but it's dead. And there you go. The people that threw it out, they could have simply opened up that drawer and found $3 themselves if they wanted to muck around, but $3 is mine. All right, I'll get rid of this now and we'll go on to something else. I might as well just finish off these other 21 DVDs, get them out the way, and then I might get into a couple of PCs or something, just to get a few cavities that I can throw these into, fill them up. Okay, well that's 31 CD players scrapped out. There's all my boards that I want. The brass is out the way, got some ribbon wire at the back there. But this is mostly why I pick up CD players when I see so many on the street anyway. Now this is probably one of the best boards. It's got a nice gold corner BGA chip here and some really chunky MLCCs. Yeah, some more there. So, but mostly, aside from obviously depopulating the board later on, you know, it's all about these pins as well. And so that tub down here, that's 31 CD players all scrapped out, ready to go to the scrap metal yard for 9 cents a kilo. At least we get something for it. But because this tub has got a hole in the bottom, I can leave that all in there. So if it does rain before I get to the scrapyard, the rain's going to drain out anyway. So I could just leave them in there rather than using up some a couple of probably 3 or 4 PCs. I can use those for smaller bits and pieces, and so I'll just get rid of that as it is. And yeah, another job done. Send this off now to the scrap pile out the front there, and actually pretty soon I'm going to have to do a scrap steel run, just make a bit of room. Alright, I might just get rid of this and the circuit boards and get onto some PCs. Might even do the old Xbox that I picked up yesterday. Okay, so with all that out the way, if you remember towards the end of street scrapping yesterday, or it might have been a few days ago now, or the last video, this was just sitting on the edge of the street. The drive has already been taken out. It's got a few things rattling inside. It's been opened up. So no point in trying to keep this. Don't know what's wrong with it, what they've, you know, played around with. So obviously it's just a board. Should have a CPU under there. We'll just have a little quick squeeze at it. I'll just clean up this ribbon wire and stuff just so I can find my little tools. Okay. They've got little oddball torque screws. Well, they're not really oddball, but sometimes I found that one of the screws can be a bit dodgy. You have to go and find something completely different to get it out. But these ones are cooperating pretty good. Just get a couple more out. Okay. Yeah, we've got a power board. Just want to cut out these wires as much as possible because it's only a low-grade power board. So we get much more money for the actual wire, obviously 10 times more, just about, at least 7. And we take all the wire, so there we go, just a power board. Because this copper spool is really wedged in there, I'm not going to try and get that out. I'm just happy to send this off to low grade. Couple more screws. We should be done. Okay, I'll just clean up a few of the wires out of that and that. So I'll just take off this heat sink and just give us a little look at the CPU on these Xbox Ones. There we go. Probably could even leave it on. We just got a you know, extruded aluminium heatsink here, and it's onboard, kind of like CPU. Probably another one there. I might as well just leave it there and throw this in with motherboards, because it's pretty close to a motherboard anyway. It doesn't have any rubbish, and it's got just about everything you would expect on a motherboard. You know, even got one tantalum capacitor. Just for the hell of it, I'll take my little tanty, and yeah, I'll just throw this. Oh, there's a few more tantalums here. So, you know, removing a couple of tantalums is not going to devalue the board as a motherboard. As I keep saying to people, you know, a couple of little things like that, not a problem. It's when you start removing the chips that you're downgrading this board, because this is really, you know, barely motherboard grade. Probably technically it's still a mid-grade board. I'll just see how I feel in what I do with it. But yeah, that's the good old Xbox One. Just another, you know, I pick it up because it is what it is on the street. Still get value from, you know, a bit of wire, the motherboard, and in the end I can probably even use this box to throw in bits of scrap steel, ends of plugs, things like that, just to use it as a cavity to take to the scrapyard. Yeah, a little bit of wire, throw in a bit of rubbish. Alright, I'll put away my extruded aluminium and we're done. Yeah, Xbox Ones, gold recovery, you think because they're the first Xboxes, it's pretty much the stuff that came out before these kind of systems, the Xboxes, in as far as gaming when it comes to gold recovery. But these days, because gaming consoles are so popular, unless they're, you know, broken up like this, that's the only time they're worth scrapping out. Especially anything prior to this, they're just getting more and more valuable as collectibles. So yeah, I don't scrap out much gaming consoles. I just prefer to keep them because they do increase in value, and I just like them anyway. But this one here was just picked up, half scrapped out anyway. I'm happy with that. But if I see complete Xbox Ones, I'm happy to keep them. Even if they're not working, they're still valuable to some people, because they can use them for parts and stuff like that, or some people are just good to, they can get things working pretty quickly. It might be just a simple capacitor or something like that. Alright, let's keep scrapping. So one of the things I get, I've had a couple of comments on recently is, how long is this stuff going to actually sit here? And it's a good question, because I still got DVRs from, you know, the surveillance pickup ages ago. Got PCs all sitting there. Some of them, like these ones here, I noticed they've been sitting in the rain and so long that they're, you know, the grills are all getting rusty. So yeah, good question. Why haven't I scrapped these out, and how long are they going to sit there? But it's just one of those classic things where out of sight, out of mind. They've almost become part of the furniture, so I just don't notice them. And because I get so much stuff coming in all the time, I'm busy just with the stuff coming in. I'd never have a chance to actually get into this sort of stuff. So on top of the bin, I just had a whole bunch of aero nets that I've put aside that I'll probably scrap in the scrap sessions. But yeah, I really got to get into this and just get rid of it, because as well as a couple other people, I too am sick of looking at this pile It just really needs to be changed and replaced with something different. And obviously in that bin there's a whole heap of surveillance stuff that I still got to get through, all little knick-knack stuff, and I wouldn't mind getting that bin back. And behind these PCs is my shed door. I can't even remember what's in there. And one of the reasons why I packed all this in there was just to make it a little bit more difficult to get into the shed, because I'd done that before I went to India last year. Just so while I was away, just gave a little bit more security in this shed, because not that I've got really much valuable, but there is a couple of full big tubs of RAM, so there is some value there, and I just wanted to make it as difficult as possible to get in, just in case someone jumped the fence over at night and tried to go through my stuff. But it didn't eventuate. All safe and sound. So all right, so I'm just going to scrap out one more thing for this session. It's just a TV, and then I think I'm going to start getting into all these and just get rid of them, and then I can go and do a scrap run and yeah, just get rid of them for good. So I'm going to scrap out this TV. I actually had someone in the last video ask how long am I going to keep this TV for as well. It hasn't really been here for that long. It's actually one of my sisters dropped this off to me. It was one of her old ones, and I know that she had it plugged in the day that she actually brought it to me. So normally when I get TVs that I know have been recently plugged in, I like to let them sit in like incubation mode for at least a week or two, just to make sure that they drain out any power left in capacitors or whatever. There's still possible that there is, but I like to leave them at least a week or two, just to make sure that all the power is drained out before I scrap them out. And usually, like everything, I'm not really in any hurry. Yeah, so it was just sitting over there in a corner, and yeah, it's just been sitting in the rain for a few weeks now. So since someone mentioned it in the last video, I'm going to scrap this bugger out and just get rid of it, you know. It's actually it's a Hitachi. It was actually a very good quality TV for its time. I mean, it wasn't a high end, but you know, it was like $1,000 TV 10 years ago or so, and you know, $1,000 10 years ago was worth a lot more than $1,000 is today, especially in Australia with our Australian dollar. Oh, and speaking of the Australian dollar, price of gold has really gone up a lot in Australia recently, over the last couple of months, and so much so that it's about $2,200 an ounce at the moment, just over, and it was quite a bit. It was a little bit more. It was got up to about $2,240. It's never been over $2,000 an ounce in Australia before. So, and sure, it's because of the, you know, gold has gone up a little bit in the US, but because the Australian dollar has gone down so much, it's made gold, you know, seem to be worth quite a bit more. So, yeah, it was quite exciting to see, you know, gold hit $2,000 an ounce. And I thought, oh, maybe it'll just start scooting back down to 18, but no, it's gone up to 22. And so, even though it hasn't really affected the prices of circuit boards like mid-grade, low-grade, or motherboards, it probably will affect the gold recovery stuff like higher-end CPUs, gold pins, gold fingers, IC chips, flat packs, BGAs, all that kind of stuff, all the gold recovery bits. So I'm going to be doing a price adjustment soon, so I'll probably do a quick little video on that, just to let you know. And yeah, so for those that are accumulating precious metal recovery stuff that are intending to send it to me, look out for that video with the price rises. But unfortunately, circuit boards haven't gone up because, you know, they only get a little bit of gold, and it's mostly base metal stuff which hasn't really gone up. All right, let's get into this. I just need to change the battery and we'll get to it. Right, let's get into this. And I just undone the screws to make it a bit quicker. Right, yeah. Interesting. They've certainly packed everything in nicely. So what I thought I'd do is try and make these scrap session videos reasonably short. I mean, obviously sometimes they probably will go on a little bit longer, but I'm trying not to make like 1 hour videos in these scrap sessions. So I'd rather do the videos more regularly than, you know, just real long extended videos. Obviously, you know, people's attention spans doesn't go forever, and you know, sitting down and watching, you know, most of my videos, you know, in the last few months at least, have been over an hour long, and so you can't expect people to watch hour-long videos too regularly. You know, if you look at the real popular YouTubers, the vloggers and all that, like, you know, people like PewDiePie, they make 10-minute videos. That's it, 10 minutes. And before YouTube had a preference for 10-minute videos, they used to make videos that were only 5 minutes long. And so it just goes to show you know, what the attention span is. And I can see kind of in the analytics of my videos, like after about 10 minutes, you know, people start dropping off. After 15 minutes, more drop off, and it just keeps, you know, dropping off. And you know, so I think, even though this is certainly gone above 10 minutes, you just can't do like scrap session videos or any of my style videos in 10 minutes. There's just I'd have to cut out pretty much everything. And you know, the idea of these videos, the scrap session ones, are, you know, to scrap stuff out. And a lot of this stuff, you know, you've already seen me scrap out, but it's just a mixture of scrapping and having a little bit of a chat and pointing out a few things, because there's always new scrappers coming in. You know, sometimes I can give a few pointers that they can, you know, pick up on. Okay, so here, this is actually we call, you know, this would be a low grade board. It's not a mid grade or peripheral board. It's just got rubbish on it, so it doesn't pass as a mid grade board, right? But it does have gold pins, even though they're not really high quality gold pins. They're still there, and so what I recommend in this case, if you're into gold recovery or you're accumulating stuff to sell or whatever, is yeah, you might as well remove these gold pins and then just throw the board into low grade, because you're not going to get any more value for this board with these pins on there. Because when it comes to low grade, the board buyers are buying based on base metal recovery. It's not about you know, precious metal recovery when it comes to low grade. As you can see, there's really, sure, there will be some kind of precious metals. There will be, traces of silver and even gold somewhere in there, but it's just not enough for them to process to make it worthwhile to get anything. So all they're going for is the metals, like copper and aluminium and a little bit of brass and steel and lead. So very low value, but we're breaking out these gold pins, and still, like I said, they're very shiny gold pins, so they're not very heavily plated, but they're still gold pins, and we can put these into our medium grade gold recovery pin stuff. So still something. Well, we've got nice chunks of steel and quite a decent sized circuit board there. This is mostly likely stainless steel. Okay, well, this one's not. Some of it might be. Yeah, this is all basically just steel. Looks like it's shiny in that, but it's not stainless. And for just, I just remembered that for your new scrappers, so like this looks like it could be stainless steel. It's not. Now, because it's obviously magnetic, but if it was not magnetic and you're wondering, well, okay, it's not magnetic, is it stainless steel or is it aluminium? And most people know this, but if you don't, the way to tell whether it's stainless steel or aluminium is to put it under a grinder and grind a little bit, and if sparks come out, it's stainless steel. If there's no sparks, it's aluminium. But if it's magnetic, it's steel. Even though some stainless steel can be magnetic, it's too complicated to bother trying to work it out. So I prefer to just go by straightforward measurements. Okay, so we've got quite a decent board here. It's just a mid-grade, but it's a nice mid-grade. It's got quite a few chips. If you're depopulating, it might even be worth depopulating all these chips. A couple of crystals, but not a whole, there's really barely any MLCCs or anything like that. Blank on the back. Does have, these female ports with, bit of gold pins, but they're very light. So for me, I'd just throw this into mid-grade board. Maybe pull out that little chip, maybe pinch another IC chip, and throw the rest into mid-grade. And then here's another thing that is worth pointing out, is boards like this. Okay, now it's not a mid-grade because it doesn't have any IC chips, but it's not even a low grade because it doesn't have anything on it. It's all blank. It's just got steel. There's no real base metal recovery apart from the steel. It's this is not even a low grade. So some people try and throw these into low grade thinking, oh, well, it's not a mid grade, it must be low. Well, this is no grade. You're better off throwing this into scrap steel and getting your 9 cents a kilo or whatever you get for your scrap pressing steel, because they do, they will get some steel out of it, but it's not a circuit board in any way. It's, if you put too much of this into your low grade, you could even downgrade low grade if that's possible. So yes, just some things. If there's absolutely nothing and it's just plugs like this, and there's no chips or no real circuitry, it can't be anything, you know, apart from just scrap steel. Got a nice power board here. Yeah. So this is just like a power supply power board. It does have some nice gold pins here. Well, for what it is, they're just a mid-grade gold pin. Nothing really spectacular. But in this case, I won't even take this out of this metal case. I'll just throw this. This can actually go into power supply units, because that's basically what it is, a complete power supply. So rather than just throwing this into low grade board, can get a little bit more as a power supply unit. And that's good. Just cut out some of these wires. Yeah. All right. So that's the main things from the easy stuff. Now, just debating whether it's worth taking this panel off and having a look. This one's definitely going to have to be opened up completely, and like, we're going to lose the front panel. Now, I don't want to do that, and I'm pretty sure we've got the main boards anyway. Sure, we've got the finger strip running across, but we've got the main board and we've got the main power supply unit. So not going to be a great deal left. You know, obviously there's still wires coming out connecting up to a board or something like that. You know, we can get that bit of wire, but it's going to create too much of a mess for what we want, because I don't want to lose this front panel, otherwise I'm stuck with this plastic and have to get rid of it in another way, whereas attached I can get rid of the whole thing as scrap steel. So I'm just going to leave this one. I'm happy with what I got out of it, and the rest can go as scrap steel. Well, that was that. A little scrap session to start off with. Obviously I got to get through these, and as mentioned, all the ones around where the shed is there, and we'll, you know, be able to get into more nitty-gritty stuff as we go. We'll just see how we go with all different kinds of things, some routers. Might even do a bit of a session on scrapping CRT yokes for those that haven't seen the older videos. And yeah, but well, I think this is a good trial for me scrap session videos. We'll see how this goes. Try not to make it very long. Hope that was a bit of interest, especially to the newbies that are trying to pick up information as they're going, and to everyone else, hope that was a bit of entertainment for you. Keep scrapping. Look out for my street scrap videos. The one next week is going to be particularly interesting with a new scrapper on board, and we'll see how we go. Alright guys, keep scrapping, have fun, and I'll catch you soon.